How's it going, guys and gals? This is Advanced Warrior here, and welcome back to another Advanced Wars by Web replay commentary. This is replay number 10, and I consider this a special one because this is actually my Global League debut. The very first time that I played Global League on Advanced Wars by Web. It's honestly a little embarrassing because I was like so worried and so scared about, starting off very poor. Like, I've been playing since February of 2021. It's been over a year, and then I decided to play in the middle of April. So almost like 14 months of Advanced Wars by Web. I finally decided to try Global League. I made sure that to avoid starting off with a losing streak, I did my best to I did my best to make sure I understood the COs and what maps the COs do well on, and how to play most of the Global League maps before I started my Global League game, because I wanted this win. And I am really hoping that I at least can show how much I've improved and how much I took this seriously. Alright, so let's not go too into it that much. So my opponent was 3-3 on the Global League score, so they were a little bit over 800, and they had only played 10 games, and a lot of them was Sami. So I tried to use as much information as I could to make sure I at least have an edge on my opponent. If you looked at mine, I was still a 0-0, but I had like over 120 games. I think my most played characters were Sonja, Hawk, and Sami at that time. It's probably a little bit different now, but yeah, let's just go right into the COs here. So my opponent was player 1, and they chose Sami. Oh, by the way, this was a tier 3 match, and they chose Sami, which I'm not gonna lie, I almost considered Sami myself. A little biased, plus also kind of getting used to playing with her. Sami, foot soldiers gain plus 30% attack, which is actually pretty nice. Her infantry will get really good fights, really good engagements, and her mechs will also get insane value if they're attacking something, say a tank or a recon, artillery, anything that the mechs are able to use their bazookas or rockets, whatever. They will get very good value. Not as much with other foot soldiers, I don't think, but it's just like almost best to like get maximum value by attacking a vehicle with the Sami mechs. Not only that, they also capture 50% faster than any other unit, than any other CO in the game. When they capture a building, the default is 10, but they capture for 15 points, and that just leaves the city to 5 points. And the only way that you can ever interrupt the Sami cap is if you leave that capturing infantry or mech for, I can see why, or mech at 3 HP. You leave them at 3 HP, they will not get the full capture, but you better hope you're killing them that after that turn, or else they will get that city. And good players will most likely protect their capturing infantries on more contested cities. Her transports have a plus 1% move bonus, so that means that their infantry can move out further to get properties, more contested properties. The transports could also bring the mechs to the front lines, and they can come out and just like get a really good shot on, say, tanks or recons or whatever. However, the other direct units have minus 10% attack. I guess this is how they try to balance Sami in Advanced Wars. They left her indirects alone, which is actually pretty alright. But sometimes, when you have like a multitude of tanks, that minus 10% attack, you do kind of feel it though. Okay, her powers. Her first power is Double Time. Double Time gives all her foot soldiers plus 1 movement and plus 50% attack. This can kinda help some of the infantries reach to the cities further, sometimes even capture multiple cities, and because they're Sami infantry, leaving cities at 5 points of capture left, it's going to be really hard to interrupt captures. Multiple captures from Sami infantry. So if you are able to pull that off, you're able to get those properties and maybe get like a small income swing I try to use it, but I usually find her super a bit more useful. Her super is Victory March. Victory March gives her foot soldiers a plus 70% attack boost, plus 2 movement, and they can capture all buildings entirely in one go, no matter what their HP is. So this is used for when you can get a huge income swing and really start to turn the tides in the late game, or some Sami players could save it and go for an HQ capture the HQ in one turn, and win the game on the spot. It is very scary when Sami has this power, because usually opponents are going to try to protect those cities. They would like stand on the city, but if you're unfortunate that they die, then you're losing that city or HQ. But if they're already close to your HQ, you better hope that you're winning the game in some other way. Alright, so because this was a tier 3 match, I tried to weigh out my CO's options. There was actually Kindle, Andy, and Sami, actually. I actually considered playing Sami on this map because, it was a lot of contested properties, but looking at the map stats, Kindle had the highest win rate on the map, so I just went with my gut and played Kindle. Kindle's day-to-day is that she has a plus 40% attack when she is attacking from a property. Those properties are HQs, cities, bases, ports, airports, comm towers, and labs. So like these labs here, a little useless except for terrain stars, but Kindle will also get that attack boost. Comm towers as well, not the missile silos. Missile silos do give 3 terrain stars, but they don't count as a property. Unused missile silos, I do think, give you a plus 40% attack, but it's a really strong day-to-day. You want to be aggressive with it. You want to posture your units on a city, so not only do you get plus 30% defense, but you're also getting a plus 40% attack, which will give you a really nice counterattack, and your opponent will be less reluctant to attack you if you're sitting on a city. Her power, Urban Blight. Urban Blight gives her units plus 80% attack when attacking on a property, and as well as damaging 3 HP to all enemy units on said properties. So your opponent could be building teching up units. You use Urban Blight, you can drain some of the income from the fresh units that they build. If they're capturing a city, you can interrupt captures, and if you get the chance to sit on a city, you will deal a lot of damage. And probably one-shot, maybe not all units, but there might be some units you can one-shot. Her superpower is High Society, which gives a disgusting 130% attack boost, as well as giving all of her units a plus 3% attack boost for each city that she has. Not each property, each city that she has, which is nice. So that means that Kindle is no longer limited to attacking on a city to get an attack boost. I see people use Urban Blight a bit more. Like I said, drains some of the income. This is a fog game, however, so it's a little hard to try to get the great value off of Urban Blight. So yeah, Kindle, very strong CO. Almost looks like she has no weaknesses, but I would say that the only weakness that Kindle has is that her powers come from a prerequisite, and that is attacking from the city. And good opponents know how to avoid being attacked from a city. Alright, so the map here is called 1v1 Marn, I believe it's called. It's a 3 base, 1 airport map. Here you have the base in the middle. I'm looking at my side here. You have the base in the middle that can easily cross the bridge and enter into the front lines. The same one on the bottom. So usually for player 1, the top left is the left side is supposed to be their strong side, and for player 2, the right side going down is supposed to be their strong side. Their weak side is supposed to be around the HQ. Which I do kind of like. If your strong side is strong enough, you can go for an HQ cap and maybe win the game. Comm towers are also kind of in the middle, but I believe that... Oop, no. Alright, they're kind of in the middle, but the strong side is probably going to get it. There are a few cities in the corners that you can only reach to by bridges, and infantry can cross through by rivers. The middle, there's not much value worth in the middle. Maybe some mountains to scout, some forests to hide units in. Alright, so without further ado, let's begin. Oh, I almost forgot. I think you can right-click here, unit face direction, and make them face right. My opponent played a red fire, but I do kind of like it when the two armies are facing the right direction with each other. Alright, so simple 2 infantry build. And me, I'm just gonna go straight for the base to keep up my unit value, my unit count. My opponent does the same thing. You know, very basic start. And I decided to go for this city on the left instead of the airport where I can go straight to a capture chain, because I wanted to maximize my presence further from my bases. I've said it before, I used to like capture the back cities first, and that usually meant that there wasn't much defense for the more contested properties, which my opponents usually got. Alright, so I move my infantry across the river, and here, instead of going for this city capture, my opponent goes closer towards the right. When I started playing this, I remembered one of my friends actually lost this map due to an HQ rush, and considering that my opponent is Sami, I actually changed up my playstyle a little bit, which you will see. And see, my opponent decides to go for the airport first. It does lead to the capture chain. Alright, so I capture my first base, and I go for this city here. I had a discussion with a good friend of mine, Mel. He's a pretty good player, and we talked about how this infantry might probably want to go for this city down here, because it's very likely that your opponent will build a recon in anticipation that your opponent is in anticipation that the opponent's trying to capture the HQ, and they will build a recon to prevent an HQ cap. But when they do, they could usually see the city, and by the time another infantry gets to the city, it will be interrupted. So you'll see how strong recons are, and I actually do build this recon, but I go for the city instead, and you will see why later on. Alright, so my opponent, yeah, just going past this comm tower, I knew, I had a really good gut feeling that my opponent was trying to go for an HQ cap. So this is why I built this recon on turn 3, which is something I normally wouldn't do. Turn 3 recons are usually very aggressive, and you do miss out on infantry that can start capturing properties. Alright, so I'm just moving my units forward, have my recon, like in range of my HQ. I was gonna say that it is in range to interrupt, but I'm wrong. Obviously, if you're standing on your opponent's properties, they will see what units you have. But considering that this was Sami, if Sami was already on this HQ, I already lost the game, because this recon will not be able to kill, and this infantry cannot reach to deal the second attack to lower Sami to lose. Yeah, it's hard to interrupt Sami caps. So yeah, you will see very soon why I decide to capture that city. So yeah, my opponent is going straight for the HQ cheese, as you would call it. And when I see this, I begin to realize something. My intuition kind of kicks in. Alright, just build all infantry. No transport copter? Sami's transport copters are pretty good, obviously, because they have that +1 move. I can see transports working really well on this map, but I suck using transports. Yeah, that's just me. So I put my recon on the city, and I see this infantry just making a straight beeline for my HQ. So my instinct was right, and I was very happy when I saw this, because using my intuition, I realized that this infantry probably didn't capture this city, and probably didn't capture this, or this. So at the time, I felt like I was at an income advantage, because my opponent skipped most of these cities to try to get an HQ cap. So I was sitting fairly comfortable. So I just go ahead and continue with the captures. This infantry moves down here, can capture this back corner, and no recon is here to contest me from these properties. All right, and here's the turn to show why I captured this city. Tank, infantry. I am able to produce 3 units this turn, because I'm able to produce a tank and 2 infantry this turn because I captured this city and got that extra 1,000 income. I believe it was actually a Kantai game that I reviewed, where I saw that he skipped this city to try to get a more contested property in the corner, and he wanted to get a tank out that turn, which forced him to base skip. But obviously Kantai is Kantai. He probably knows what he's doing. Me, I don't know what I'm doing. Playing a little bit safer, going for the turn 3 recon just to protect my HQ, and I got my tank out on turn 5, which I was really happy for. Alright, so I believe this infantry tried to go for the HQ cap, but got trapped. I believe their replay viewer, I used to call it replay player, but it's actually called replay viewer. I believe the viewer doesn't move units that get trapped, which is something I hope gets fixed to avoid the confusion. And we have a turn 6 battlecopter coming from my opponent, which when I saw actually did kind of shake me up a little bit. I'm trying to learn how to read my opponent's moves and see, like, you know, it got caught right here. I'm trying to learn how to read my opponent's moves, so I can know what they should and what they should not be able to have. I used to play in a way where I always thought my opponents always had better units than me, so I always tried to play safe. I go for this middle property here, and I don't go for the comm tower yet because comm towers don't generate income. Swing my tank down. Infantry are moving closer to the HQ, and this was a 90 to 99% damage. So I was guaranteed to deal 9, but I was never guaranteed to kill it. If I had this comm tower, that infantry would have died. And in the late game, Sami's infantry can be scary. It can go on this mountain to scout, but I will probably kill it. But that will be information that my opponent could have. And down here I decide to build a recon because I have these infantry kind of far down here and I have no vision. So I decided to build a recon down on my other side. So comm towers, 2 properties are captured, and like I said, the infantry can scout, only sees the 1 recon, but I do have 3 infantry just outside of range of that scouting infantry. 2 out here and 1 in the forest. My opponent reaches their own HQ, so an HQ cap by me obviously will not be possible. Battlecopter begins to move down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 moves. Okay. For some reason, I didn't think that battlecopter did its full move. And here my opponent base skips. They got the tank out at least, but they're missing out on 2 units. They do have 1 extra from the battlecopter, but at this point of the game, I feel like you would probably want more cheaper units. And had my opponent built a tank and then 2 infantry, they would have 2 extra income left, and that 2 extra income can go into these 2 infantry. They won't have a battlecopter, but they'll have a tank out a turn earlier. Alright, so I felt really good capturing this, and I start eyeballing for this very corner city here. I start going for the comm tower because I feel like eventually a fight might break out. Alright, I move my infantry here. It does obviously get spotted by by this infantry. What you usually want to do in advanced wars is kill your opponent's vision so they have less intel on what you might be doing. But I move this infantry in this forest because it can go for either this city or this city. And if it's completely safe, this infantry can go for this city, and this backup infantry should be able to go for that one for the next turn. Assuming I move it forward, which I do. Go for the other middle-ish property, and I bring my tank down, and then I decide to move it left. See, I ended up doing a weird thing where apparently this bottom side here, it's by my comm tower, is supposed to be my strong side, but because I wanted to defend my HQ, and I had these infantry kind of far out, I ended up having my strong side be on my left. And in this game, my opponent also does have this left side as their strong side, so it's almost like a clash of two strong sides that will be happening on the top left side of the map. And you will just see like a skeleton crew skirmish on the bottom. So the tank moves forward. Cities are being captured. Infantry are just moving forward. The infantry comes out, does... God dang it. Infantry comes out, does spot this infantry, but can't do anything about it. Nothing, no recon can just come down and try to stop that capture that I will make out down here. It just goes for 3 infantry. Could have built a tank. Usually if you have a tank, you would want another one to try to cover the first one, but the battlecopters out here, they kind of do cover each other. But if a battlecopter attacks this battlecopter, this tank can't do anything. But my opponent has 6,000 left. A tank is a perfect build for my opponent, but maybe they might have just overestimated the power of Sami infantry. To be honest, I'm not completely sure myself. Finally, I kill the vision, and I start going for the 2 cities I intended to capture with the way I moved my infantry. This infantry just comes down. I'm probably expecting this capture to be interrupted down here, but surprisingly, it doesn't. I'm not trying to spoil as much as I could, but yeah, it's clear that I will get that city, and I just keep a unit on my HQ because I'm so paranoid that they're gonna start capturing it. And although it probably will die from attempting a cap, I was afraid of using up like 2 or 3 of my units to try to stop 1 infantry, which will give their other units a turn to try to go for a good push. That was what I was always worried about. I built 3 infantry and a battlecopter. Just to kind of increase my unit count. I already killed 1 infantry. I want to keep my unit count higher. Alright, so they start going for more cities. Battlecopter comes in. I was a bit shocked to see this battlecopter come out so soon, but I have a battlecopter that can come and get closer in like 2 turns. So I was ready for this battlecopter. Alright, opponents going for the more contested properties. And the infantry are just moving forward. Nothing too exciting about that. And build infantry, artillery. Okay, so obviously semi-artillery, not bad. And they build an artillery on their weak side. Okay, you want to be more defensive on your weak side. Artillery are pretty good for being used defensively because it will make your opponents not want to go in range of an artillery to try to attack another unit. Yeah, it's artillery are a good deterrence, and plus they don't die to a counterattack. Okay, now I was about to judge my opponent, however, for 2 infantry and artillery, but they had enough funds for the battlecopter, so it makes their builds a bit more forgiving, I would say. Alright, I finally get these 3 cities down here, and it's a risk to go for this one. I actually wanted to try to get that risk, take that risk, but not the best idea. Alright, so I kind of wall off this bottom side here, and what I was hoping my opponent would do is try to kill one of these infantry and then send their battlecopter in to get the first strike. And when they do that, I'll just move my tank, put my battlecopter on the HQ, and one-shot that battlecopter. Okay, recon stays hidden. Infantry moves out very far to try to scout that forest. Just trying to get as much information as I could. Recon comes down, scouts out what's near the comm tower. All I just see are infantry, and it's a bit scary because I felt like this map was small enough where infantry would counter each other. In my infantry encounters video, I talked about maps where if infantry encounter first, Sami will always have the advantage because that's what her day-to-day boosts. Oh, and I built an anti-air on turn 10. I don't know why, maybe I was expecting another battlecopter, but a preemptive anti-air is always good. Alright, so my infantry dies from my suicidal attempt to scout. My infantry on the bottom gets spotted. I think I'd still try to go for the city. Okay, so my opponent gets on the mountain, gets the defense, and gets the vision as well. Pretty good for them. So they don't see much behind my tank. Alright, so this battlecopter, I don't know what it did, honestly. Maybe it attacked one of my infantry. Excuse me. Infantry are moving forward. Battlecopter goes down to the right side, while one's already on the top, and they build 3 mechs. Okay. Sami mechs obviously are good. How do I feel about this specific build though? It could be done better if they had a transport copter earlier in the game. A transport copter can be used to ferry the infantry, obviously, and can just come back later and start ferrying the mechs. And on Advanced Wars by Web, you can even abuse the you can even abuse the transports and actually make the mechs go an extra. It gives the mechs an extra space of movement because of the transport abuse. You can transport an infantry. You can put an infantry on a transport, even if it's already moved. You can just load them and then unload them, and they would be put on a great spot. Like, you can get so much value off of this if you play this right. Say an infantry moves its max moving distance to a transport copter, and that transport copter is next to a mountain. You put it on the mountain. That is so much move that infantry just had, and all you did was just abuse a transport. Yeah, I'm no genius that can just use up transports like that. And here I go for this risky capture, and I put my infantry on this forest. Not the best positioning, honestly, because say my opponent attacks from this plane to interrupt this cap, which they most likely will because the plane has 1 terrain star, the road has 0. If they sit on the plane, it will also reveal this infantry hiding in the forest, and of course Sami infantries will love those infantry engagements, and they will always win those. They can attack from this bridge and still get a really high HP advantage against me. Alright, so I clear off the infantry and get some vision of my own. I see the tank, and here I see my opponent doesn't go for the tank bait. So they are aware that as a Kindle player, I probably have something that I can put on a city to try to one-shot that battlecopter, which is capturing for some reason. But yeah, unfortunately, I decide to swing the battlecopter forward. And yeah, it's just a sad day for me. Okay, so I believe this turn was very weird. I mean, looking at it now, it was really weird. I could have maybe done a bit better. I could have instead just like have an infantry sit on this HQ and have my tank do something else. But instead, I was very overprotective of my HQ, and it costed me potential better moves. My recon sitting on that city, so my opponent cannot capture it. If they only have infantry around my recon, which they do, battlecopter's on the way though. And I finally tech up to a medium tank. I decided to tech up because I was thinking that I'm not seeing a whole lot of tanks, so maybe my opponent might have teched up, or maybe most of it just like went to this battlecopter, and some of it went to this artillery and battlecopter, which I have yet to see. But one way that you can use Sami is to tech up. Her tanks are already worse than her opponents because they will most likely always have less attack power. However, a medium tank with less attack power doesn't matter, because a tank isn't going to try to first strike a medium tank. Tanks are scared of medium tanks, and that's all they can do. They can run away because they have more movement, but yeah, when they see that medium tank, they want to go for it. And here my opponent captures his lab. This infantry just wasted 2 turns. Well, wasted one of their turns. Like if an infantry had to sit on this lab and get max movement or use the defense, then sure. But if it's going to fully capture, what's it gonna do? It's Global League. I'm pretty sure Global League doesn't give you lab units. All this lab will do is just give 1 vision tile. That's basically it. Alright, so probably another trap, because my opponent saw this infantry somehow. Probably from this infantry that just moved. Okay, artillery and battlecopter moves up. Going for this capture. I hope you get off that capture, honestly. Alright, so yeah, my opponent's making him a retreat and at the same time capturing that city. Yeah, you know, just shifting most of their units up here. My opponent goes for chip damage on my tank, but I retaliate with 2 damage, which is pretty nice. I should be able to shoot it down eventually. Mech artillery. How much income do my opponent have? My opponent had 19. They could go for a medium tank. Like I said, medium tanks are good for Sami. Teching up's good for her because they can because obviously medium tanks are better than tanks. And they do finally build that transport copter, perhaps a bit too late, and nothing is in range to put in that transport copter for its use. Maybe if my opponent had the mech move 1 tile away, or like moved it next to it on this river, then yeah. Alright, so I assist my units down here, my infantry down here, and I try to take a shot at the healthy infantry because I want to keep Sami's infantry as weak as I could, just to make the interrupting her caps a lot easier. And here, the more I looked into it, the more I realized of how much of a mistake this was. This HP infantry was not strong enough to try to one-shot that battlecopter. Apparently 1 battlecopter attack and a tank counterattack with 1 comm tower does not allow that infantry to kill that battlecopter, which was honestly sad to see. I guess I was over reliant on a luck roll or something. Infantry on the mountain scouts gets good sight of the vision, and I start capturing 2 cities in front of my opponent, forcing them to respond in a way somehow. And here I make another weird move, trying to attack this infantry on the lab. This infantry can just move off, and this tank could come in and attack me on a road from a property, which wasn't nice. And again, I just have like a tank just sitting on the HQ that could have been doing something else, but at this point, I don't think I need to defend my HQ anymore, because I already pushed back my opponent. I have army presence basically all over, and if they do go for a capture from this force somehow, I have ways to stop it. But I don't know. Maybe I just didn't want to invest units into interrupting 1 capture. And here I build another medium tank, this time on the opposite side, to join the skeleton crew on the bottom. and I send this anti-air to the left instead of the bottom, probably to defend this battlecopter from possibly another battlecopter. But you know, we'll see. So my opponent goes for the kill to stop the cap entirely. The artillery moves up and the battlecopter moves in. And okay, I see a battlecopter down here. Moving this anti-air on the top was a mistake. And they do go for this lag capture, which it doesn't give you anything. It doesn't give you properties. And here the mistake goes through. It's a really good engagement on my tank. Infantry can move up and scouts out. Kind of moving their units a little to the left, some to the right now. Obviously, some are still coming up. This stays at 1 HP, and I was actually kind of happy that this was at 1 HP, so I can join cap. Builds and anti-air. Probably because they don't have anything against my 8 HP battlecopter. Alright, so turn 12, getting a little close to our normal powers here. Alright, so I kill as much infantry as I can. I don't join cap though, so I probably will lose this infantry down here. And yeah, I just start trying to kill as much as I could. Recon comes down, gets the one shot from the property. Battlecopter comes down. Again, I could have done so much better with my tanks. I have multiple tanks for a reason. The tank shouldn't just be sitting on the HQ trying to defend. I could have gotten a lot more value off of that. And see, here's another weird move I do. What I could have done, take this tank, put it on the city, and then have this tank come down, kill that tank, and then move this tank on this lab and have the Kindle bonuses. But instead, I mess up my order of moves, and I miss out on sitting on a juicy lab, which I want to do as Kindle. Again, these labs don't do anything except give terrain stars. However, the labs for me give me plus 40% attack. What do the labs do for my opponent? Just waste a few infantry turns and just have one tile vision. I mean, okay, if you're out of vision range, if it's out of vision range, but it's in an enemy's movement range, then yeah, I can attack. Alright, so battlecopter's about to die. I just had to build another one, and I build another recon here. I felt like this one was gonna die, so I decided to get another one. Of course, this recon is still just as useful as a normal recon. It just gets one shot by most things now. Alright, so infantry moves down, and this infantry tries to go up for the neutral property. I do see it with my recon. Alright, artillery reveals itself, kills a full HP infantry, captures the properties, interrupts the cap entirely, also reveals this 4 HP infantry, attacking this infantry on the city from the road, also reveals this one, gives my opponents good first strikes. If you have an infantry wall, don't build them diagonally. Diagonal infantry walls do not work because they can be attacked from 2 angles, and from 2 angles, it can expose your wall. Alright, so kills my vision. 3 artilleries on the bottom side. Holy crap, they are going defensive heavy strong down there. Excuse me. And they just build more mechs and artillery. I guess they really do try to play as Sami and use her best units, which usually isn't the best thing to do. I mean, yeah, sure, there are a lot of mechs, but I say tanks are like a staple in every army. Alright, so I capture my opponent's property, so I just gained 1,000, they lost 1,000, and I popped my Urban Blight. I think it was because I saw an opportunity to attack from the city down here, and I also saw this mech. I didn't see this mech though, but seeing that mech get damaged as well was also pretty cool. So yeah, 80% attack, 7 HP versus 6 HP on the road. Yeah, I'm getting that airstrike. Oh, and this infantry down here too. I'm able to kill that because of Urban Blight. I decided to pull my infantry back. Recon comes up, does 8 damage to this infantry. It will take a long time for that infantry to capture that property on the top, which will most likely be mine. I'm pretty sure once I have these 2 properties, I should be able to secure some kind of income lead. Alright, so I see the mech down here. I leave it down to 3 HP. Can't do much to a tank anymore. Helicopter shoots a infantry. Probably could have attacked something better. And still, I'm just like leaving tanks on my HQ. I mean, sure, it's going back to capture. I mean, that's nice. At least that's the only at least thing. Oh, and here, I think I was playing globally on my phone. Oh man, Advanced Wars by web, Advanced Wars by phone is one of the worst experiences you will have, because you are bound to misclick and make huge mistakes. And I think this was a mistake. I was trying to scroll down and I accidentally bought an artillery. But, you know, I still try to make it work. Artillery, anti-air, infantry. Alright, so infantry attacks from a city, getting a really good defense. Infantry in the corner decides to pull back. And my opponent's just trying to get these first strikes. See, this is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to play Sami. Because the infantry are just... they just deal so much damage. Mine can't do much when they get a first strike, even when I'm on defensive terrain. Okay, so this battlecopter pulls back. A bit odd, honestly. Maybe suspecting I have an anti-air down here, which honestly I should have. And moving back to maybe front shift. I can respect that. Oh, this artillery and mech got damaged. I think it was these 3 units down here that got hit by the Urban Blight. So, yeah, they're left at 19 income. Maybe they had a chance to get more. Alright, 2 mechs, infantry, battlecopter. I want to see more tanks from my opponent, honestly. Alright, so this mech presence here is actually okay, honestly. They're kind of defended. And if I try to attack a mech with a vehicle, the other mechs will come in and they will be in range. So yeah, this was a little scary, honestly. Alright, so I kill that infantry. Move my recon up to try to kill an infantry and get some vision. I can see the tank down here. I mean, I can see the mech down here and the mech over here as well as the mech on the HQ. Start capturing the top city. Go for the infantry hit, and I stop that infantry entirely. Go pull back to repair. Get first strikes of my own. Anti-air comes down to try to defend the bottom side, and I also have a battlecopter down here as well. I go for this capture to maybe force my opponent to do something about it. Alright, I kill was that a mech or an infantry? Kill the 4 HP infantry on the comm tower. Move my medium tank forward. Battlecopter tries to get a shot on the transport copter. I believe I did it because I felt like this battlecopter has outvalued itself based on its kills. Although just because a unit has done the damage value that is very deserving, it's like one that you're looking for, that doesn't always mean that you can just throw them away and just watch them die and just replace them with another unit that has had less value of attack. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Melf was the one to tell me, you know, try to get as much value as you can with your units. Don't just let your unit's attacks outvalue itself and then just throw them away like it's nothing. Alright, so what is this, like my 3rd medium tank and 2 infantry. Sami. Alright, anti-air kills that battlecopter. Okay, very nice for her. Did this mech just move back?
It did. Maybe it just wanted to get repaired, but I don't know. I can't understand why my opponent does every move. Alright, has a little bit of a death ball down here actually. Battlecopter comes in, tries to attack an infantry. It is in range of my anti-air though. Alright, so the mech does a lot of damage to my infantry in the forest. Mechs are kind of pulling back, tiny bit. Kind of walling off, but honestly, walling off diagonally isn't the best thing to do. And just going back a little bit. If my opponent didn't know this at the time, probably, maybe they're just like, okay, I'll just move and see what I could have come up with. That it did leave a missed opportunity to maybe boost that mech by another space, going either up or right. This is an okay artillery position. It's not protecting everyone. Got a little death ball going on down here with mechs and artillery. Excuse me, from my opponent. Alright, so I finally capture that top city, and I do get the one shot here. It's in range of other mechs though. I don't think I had the information for it, but I guess I was just a bit too power hungry and just wanted to get a valuable hit. Here I move my 4 HP infantry off of the one that's currently capturing to capture this one on the left. And the reason I do that is to open space for this healthy one to come through. Now this one, if my opponent tries to interrupt, I am okay with having some units trying to keep it protected. But over here, the only thing that could reach this city is a battlecopter. So my opponent's kind of on a timer to try to interrupt that cap. And they will have to use an air unit or push through this forest that is next to a city that I am capturing. Alright, so here I go for the anti-air hit actually. I think what my thought process was, if I kill this anti-air, this battlecopter that I probably will send to the left will be uncontested. I mean, yeah, sure, another battlecopter can maybe do something about it, but these tanks are not the best way to stop Sami mechs. Battlecopters are actually not too terrible so long as you could give them the value, because when battlecopters attack, most of the units that they attack can only counterattack with machine guns, and the machine guns do not deal a lot of damage as the tank ammunition that those vehicles use. This is why I like battlecopters, for their mobility, and when they're facing a counterattack, it is very, very weak because all the tanks can counterattack with are machine guns. Alright, so in here I'm like, okay, I'll try to just injure mechs as much as I can, use a medium tank against a Sami mech because the counterattack probably isn't as strong. It is in range of this artillery, however, so that's why I said it's okay. If I was going for either of these two mechs, I will be in range of an artillery. Okay, so I finish off that anti-air. I kill off that mech. Down here, not the best idea. Our anti-air, I'm always going to shoot a battlecopter with an anti-air. Most likely will die to the artillery, sadly. Alright, so I do move my battlecopter to the left. I think I moved it off of the lab. So yeah, a little bit of the lab vision coming into play from my opponent. Kudos to them. Alright, so I just pull back just a little bit on my right side, which is my weak side. And I build another anti-air because I'm like, okay, this one is gonna die. Just maintain 2 anti-airs, 1 on each front. Alright, so the mech gets a really good first strike. This one also gets a pretty good one as well. Transport, man, like I said, if this mech was out here, it would have a good chance to kill one of these tanks. Oh, and the artillery does fire on the medium tank. So, tank moves up. Battlecopter trying to go for this recon. Probably would have maybe liked to see it go for other things other than just recon, because yeah, it's damaging a recon, but if the recon is still alive, there's still a threat, because of the vision that they can provide. You know, like the recon that was kind of down here a little bit. It was injured, but it could still give vision. Alright, double artillery. So my opponent reveals that they have 2 artilleries down there. And they're still... This one's sitting on the city. It probably could have sit on the forest for better coverage. Transport moves up. Missed opportunity again. Infantry moves up to this transport copter. And then this transport copter just moves forward and drops the infantry all the way over here. It looks like it's going backwards, but it's going further a greater distance. So yeah, it's just an easy thing to overlook. It's just like, oh, it looks like it's going backwards. Nah, it's fine. Just gonna go forward a bit more. Do I use my power? Yeah. I hear nothing right now, but I know that black hole that black hole power theme is playing, and I like this a lot. Let's see here. I am on a comm tower and on a city. I probably will do something with these cities. I damaged a battle copter here. I damaged this artillery. I don't see what's down here, but I'm also damaging those. And I also lower the attack on this infantry here. I finally capture that city on top. I capture another city my opponent had. Moving this infantry down to try to assist. Recon comes down, kills that 1 HP mech. I get a good hit on that artillery. The counterattack from the tank kills off that mech. Finally kill off that transport copter. Get a very good engagement on a Sami mech because mechs are weak, obviously, but their attack power, I feel, decreases the most. The value decreases the most when you get an infantry damaging a mech. It's good value for you, very bad for your opponent. And my medium tank does try to kill that mech. It's weakened, but it will make okay bait. I do have a pretty alright counterplay. You know, battlecopter. If it goes for this tank or this medium tank, battlecopter's in range. And I build a rocket, because I kind of figured, okay, this rocket here, you have a Kindle rocket on a property, they will have a slightly hard time of dealing with it. They might even fear it. I also built it on this top side because it's going straight through nothing but roads, except for like 2 plane tiles, and then it's back on roads and properties. Their tire movement is best on properties and roads, really bad when it's on planes. And that just left me with enough money for an infantry and a tank. Notice I always build an infantry. Whenever I build an infantry, it's always from this middle one, because they can just cross the river instead of looping around to get on the bridge. That's what the vehicles have to do. Alright, so the artillery stays and only deals 1 damage to my medium tank. Opponent gets a really good attack on the mech down here. Finally using their victory march, so let's see what they can pull off here. Tank kills the recon. Mech kills the second recon, so I've lost vision down there. Mech going for infantry kills and just scouting out. 1-2, 1-2, yeah. If they had vision of this recon, they could definitely go for the recon, because their attack power is insane right now. Movement and attack power. Look at that! That's 1, 2, 3. I'm just trying to think. How far do infantry move again? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. That's more than an regular infantry movement. And that mech just zoom. Look at that. Just mechs can already cross through rivers like nothing. Oh, and my opponent has resigned. They saw at this point that that they were on the losing end. That they lost way too much. Their victory march, unfortunately, couldn't get as much value. Let's open the stats, honestly. So here the Advanced Wars by Web Viewer gives us this really nice this really nice sheet. I've used 2 of my powers, generated a total of 196,000 funds. almost 10,000 spent on repairs. Wow, this replay viewer is insane. This is what I built. This is what I lost. I built 18,000. I built 186,000. Lost 67,000 in value. Probably could do a lot better. And I was able to get 88,000 value in kills. See what my opponent had. My opponent had 178, over 10,000 on repairs. I mean, obviously Urban Blight. Used their scop once, built 153,000, lost 96,000, and killed 63,000. So I obviously had the more valuable kills than my opponent. I think if you look at the stats right now, I think I have double. My kills doubled their deaths, I think. Yeah, obviously I had like more kills than my opponent. So my opponent was still a new experienced player, but kudos to them for already jumping straight into the Global League. They were already even 3-on-3. So I was a bit nervous, and the Sami infantry I was obviously very scared of. But my opponent made a few mistakes, in some inefficient moves from them that could have been done differently to give their mechs better positioning. I could have done better, because like I already defended my HQ at some point early in the game, but I was still leaving a tank on it to defend. Could have used that tank to like actually start attacking. Maybe a few movement orders I could have done to probably get better values, but I've played this game since my childhood. I don't know how long my opponent's been playing Advanced Wars, but I just did so much to prepare for my first Global League game, and I would say that it's definitely paid off. And it finally put me on the board on the Global League, and I hope to make it much further. Alright, so the replay viewer is different for some reason. I have to do that just to go to my second screen. Thank you guys so much for watching this replay. I hope I don't take too long talking, and I know I stutter a lot, I say a lot. It's something that I do want to improve when it comes to these videos. Yes, I said again. Why did I say yes? I meant to say, yeah, I definitely should improve on my stuttering, the way I talk when I'm trying to present and commentate these kinds of videos. But for those of you who decided to stay at the end and watch, again, thank you guys so much for your support. We are very, very close to 200 subscribers, which I want to get to by the end of the year. It is... Phone's charging, so it doesn't tell me the date already. May. We're in the middle of May, right before June, which is about halfway through the year. 200 is my goal for by the end of the year, and then after that, hopefully I get to 300. I'm not expecting like a huge, like rapid jump of like so many subscribers. I'm expecting them to get them slowly, and every subscriber. And every time I get a subscriber, it really does mean a lot. It does give me a little boost of motivation to do what I do. This video was recorded Thursday nights, and I upload my videos Saturday night, honestly. So, yeah, expect me after this recording. I'm gonna be trying to edit as much as I can and then get this up on Saturday. And I am doing this for you guys, because you guys are motivating me to make these kinds of videos. Thank you all so much for watching, guys and gals. This has been Advanced Warrior. You all have my warmest regards. Throat's dry. Please take care.